morning, Middle Earth, and welcome to another Second Breakfast. It is I, your wonderful host, Mary Clay Watt, and I am here for a post-Two Towers pre-Return of the King Q&A. This is where I will give some final wrap-up thoughts for Two Towers and reflect on the journey thus far, and then also make some predictions for what's to come. Should be a fun time. Let's see what y'all asked. I put out a call for questions, I think everywhere. I had to think about that. Yes, I did it on Discord, Twitter, Instagram, and the Facebook group. I'm not sure if anyone left it on the Facebook group, but that was my fault because I just put it up this morning. But that just goes to show that you should be following Tolkien About on every platform possible because you never know where I'm going to ask questions. So if you aren't already following it on Instagram or Twitter, what are you doing? Go follow it right now at Tolkien About Pod. And if you're not a part of the Facebook group, what are you doing? Go join it right now. And if you aren't a part of the Discord, then what are you doing? Go join it. It's $3 a month. It's a cup of coffee a month. Although you shouldn't be buying a cup of coffee anywhere. You should be making your coffee at home. Please stay at home. I hope everyone's doing well. I hope everyone's staying safe and healthy and is doing their best social distancing practices. That has been the coronavirus PSA for this week's episode. Well, first and foremost, a question that I get a lot is what's next? Next is Return of the King, but what will I be doing, I guess, next after I finish Return of the King, once I finish the books? I think the plan is to do the movies, the Lord of the Rings movies, cover those in however way I'm going to cover them that I'm not sure yet. That gives me anxiety and keeps me up at night. No, I'm just kidding. And then once I'm done, once I feel like I've covered the movies for a good time being, then I'll switch to the Hobbit book and go back to the format that we all know and love. And then I will do the Hobbit movies, which I've heard are not great, but I am extremely thrilled because I get to listen to Benedict Cumberbatch.
I smell you. I hear your breath.
It also has Martin Freeman in it. Like, Martin Freeman was born to be a hobbit. Anywho, wonderful friend of the pod and fellow creator on WBNE. Go to WBNE.org to learn more about the network. Casey Winters asks, what are you most looking forward to in Return of the King? I'm looking forward to a big battle, I think. I'm looking forward to seeing some action sequences and having the Return of the King. Haha. And by that, I mean, I'm just excited to see Aragorn and Legolas and Gimli again. Gandalf can come too. Taylor in our Discord asks, if I could go anywhere with C.S. Lewis and Tolkien, where would it be? New Zealand? Or maybe I would just want to grab a drink with them at whatever pub they used to get drinks at. That sounds like a good time. By the way, thank you for sending in questions if you ask me a question. If I don't get to yours, I'm very sorry about that, but there are a lot of questions. A Shadowfax, yearning for the fool. It called a home, and all things he ever did are left behind. All the things his mama wished he'd bear in mind. And all his dad had hoped he'd know. Just a fun fact, that's what goes into my head whenever I see the word Shadowfax. Yes, this is a thrilling look inside my mind. Ethan Hoff edits. Ethan, is that how you say your Instagram handle? Asks, who's your favorite non-fellowship character in this book? Let's see, so Two Towers. Theoden? Faramir's great. Saruman was really cool. Oh wait, frickin' Treebeard. Are you kidding me? I forgot he was introduced in this book. Yes, Treebeard all the way. Treebeard is my favorite, would be my favorite non-fellowship person, I think, at this point. That was introduced in Two Towers. Next is Shelob, followed by Sauron. No, I'm just kidding. Presmyra on Instagram asks, how do you think Lord of the Rings will end? I can't remember if I've shared it or not, and I feel like that's how a lot of stories that I have shared start out as me being like, I can't remember if I've said this on the podcast or not. And you guys listening home are probably like, yeah, you've said it 20 times already. But I have this image in my mind, and it's like scene for scene, shot for shot from the end of Holes, where it's Stanley carrying Zero up the mountain. And instead of Stanley, it's Sam. And instead of Zero, it's Frodo. And then, I don't know, Gandalf is somewhere going, and you will have to carry Madame Zeroni up the mountain. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure that's how it'll end. No, I don't know. I'm sure there's going to be some huge battle. Put in that Oh Fortune, the da da da. And then there will be some close calls. We're going to think that Aragorn or Legolas or someone will die, but they're not going to die. Or one of them will get, like, tragically injured, and we'll be like, oh, rip Aragorn. And then it'll be like, but surprise, mother truckers! He's back because he's immortal. I don't think he's actually immortal, but I'm sure there will be some kind of, like, fake out where something similar to that happens where we're like, oh no, he's dead. And then, nope, not dead.
I'm not dead!
And then somehow they'll reunite with Frodo and Sam. Frodo and Sam are going to be in for a surprise. They're going to be like, you're alive? And they're going to be like, you destroyed the ring? Because I'm assuming that Frodo and Sam will not see the rest of the Fellowship until Fortil College.
Fortil College!
I'm sure they won't see the rest of the Fellowship until the ring is destroyed and the battle is over and everyone's ready to come together, and Arwen and Aragorn are going to get married, and that's how they're all going to reunite, is at Arwen and Aragorn's wedding, I bet. And then, I don't know, maybe Bill the Pony is there. Lauren Bierman on Instagram asks, what has been your favorite part so far? Well, I'll limit it to this book, since this is a Two Towers, mostly Q&A. Treebeard chapters were pretty good. Treebeard's great. The chapter with Tony Shalhoub was pretty good too, because that was just like, I was so desperate for action, and it was like, bam, here she is. What else happened in this book? I don't know. Gandalf came back. What? It's kind of like when it's the end of the year and you're looking back and you're like, whoa, a lot happened. And I did not realize how much happened until I'm reflecting on it, which is why this is a good thing to do, thing for me to do. So Q&A. If there's anyone listening that will understand this very specific reference, Leslie Margarita is a Broadway actress. She was Mrs. Wormwood and Matilda for a long time, and she had a backstage behind the scene vlog, and whenever she did Q&A episodes, she would always go, Q&A. She's great. I highly recommend watching any of her vlogs, especially right now. They're very funny. Okay, what am I pulling up? Oh, this is an excellent question. Christina Kahn, you know me well, that this would speak to me. Who so far has been the number one most useless member of the Fellowship? And then the number one most useful. As much as I enjoy him for the comedic relief, I feel like it's gotta be Pippin for the most useless. Sorry, dude, but like, poor Pippin. Because I feel like even Boromir was a little more useless a little more useful than Pippin was. Because, like, at least Boromir fought in Moria when all the orcs were coming at him. And Pippin was like, oh, I wonder what's down this well. And then the most useful, Aragorn. Yeah, I feel like Aragorn. I wish I could say Gandalf, but, like, Gandalf is too cryptic to be the most useful of the Fellowship. Because he just runs off and does his own thing and is like, okay, I'm leaving, bye. And it's like, that's not helpful. You have to tell someone. You can't just Irish goodbye the Fellowship and be like, see you later, or not. Who knows? Because I might die. I might come back. You never know. And then these questions are from my wonderful friend Bethany Pyle, who I hope you're still alive. I haven't seen you in a while. I hope you're doing all right. Her question, this is interesting. What do you want to happen in Return of the King? Not a prediction, but what would make you the most happy/satisfied? Well, I'm glad you asked. Okay, what I want to happen is that Frodo destroys the ring. Sam is no help at all. He just stands there and like claps for Frodo and then has to make him food, I guess. I don't know. And then they return to the Shire, I guess. Like, where do you go after that? Like, it's not like it's not like the Fellowship where like, hey guys, if we get separated, let's meet at, we're going to meet at Cinderella's castle. So I guess they're like, okay, to the Shire? So they start walking back to the Shire and then they get like halfway there and then they come across the rest of the gang who's like, oh my God, it's you. And they just had an amazing battle. And I know Éowyn does something really cool there because everyone keeps talking about how she has a badass moment coming up soon. And I'm assuming that that's the only time we're going to see her. And then Galadriel shows up and is like, oh my God, it's all the people still alive. And they're like, Boromir's not. And she's like, who? So then Arwen and Aragorn are like, okay, I guess it's time to get married now. And then they go back to Lorien and Galadriel marries them. And then Aragorn and Arwen have beautiful elf babies, I guess, who are also handsomely rugged. And they all wear thigh-high leather boots. And then Merry and Pippin and Sam and Frodo are like, oh, well, that was fun. Conclusion, let's go. Oh, wait, but then Aragorn has to become the king. But he becomes the king of the elves. That's what happens. He becomes the king of the elves. And I'm sure the elves are totally chill with it because they definitely aren't racist against anyone who is not an elf. And then Gimli and Legolas, obviously they go on their little field trip. They send everyone in the Fellowship a scrapbook afterwards. So then the hobbits go back to the Shire, and then who's waiting for them but Bill the pony? That's how Return of the King will go. That's how Lord of the Rings will end. Bethany asks, has your opinion of any character changed since you finished Fellowship? I feel like I'm more annoyed with Gandalf. I think I was like really expecting to like him a lot more. Man, just ever since he ruined it by coming back to life as Gandalf the White, he's not as fun. I think that's it. I don't think he's as fun. He's not given a lot of digs anymore at everyone else. And he also, I just thought he would be more of a like whimsical, fun wizard. He's not at all. And then I also feel like I like Legolas and Gimli more just because I finally got to see that friendship growing. Whereas in Fellowship, it was just kind of like, hey, I won't kill you if you won't kill me. And they're like, great. So when it separated out the Fellowship, you could really get to see their individual characters and personalities and stuff. So that was fun. And then Bethany's last question was, who would you want to quarantine with? So I might be controversial here, but I'm going to go with my man, Tom Bombadil. Because I would feel incredibly safe. If I wanted someone fun, I would say maybe like Pippin or someone cool, and I would say Legolas, or someone useless, and I would say Sam. No, I'm just kidding. But I feel like I have enough ways to entertain myself. I'm talking to myself right now. I'm sitting in my apartment by myself, talking to a microphone. And I'm able to entertain myself just fine. So I feel like I don't need someone to be a friend with or a buddy with. But I feel like Tom Bombadil would just immediately know what to do. I feel like he'd be like, yes, this is exactly like the Spanish flu and the bubonic plague. Here's what we got to do. Here's what everyone did wrong. Here's what we're going to do. And I'd be like, okay. And then I feel like I could send him out to get groceries and everything because he has to be immune, right? Right? Tom Bombadil would 100% be immune to coronavirus. Wouldn't he? I mean, I feel like that just makes sense. He's been alive for all of eternity. That has to have built up a strong enough immune system. Like, surely he has encountered coronavirus at some point in his long, long, long life. So surely he's immune. We use him to make a vaccine, and then everything goes swell after that. We all get vaccinated, and we come out of our houses, and then we go, oh no, it's hot here now. And then we go back inside. So the last thing is, I know you've all been wondering a lot. You've been waiting with bated breath to hear my thoughts. Where do I stand on the Fellowship and their Hogwarts houses? I'm so glad you asked. So there's been some controversy because Tyler Carlin of Bacon and Eggs and Bagels, we've gotten into some words on Twitter over this exact subject twice. Ethan's mad at us. Not really, but because Tyler falsely thinks that Sam and some of the other hobbits are Gryffindors, which is madness to me, and also thinks that Gimli is a Hufflepuff, which is madness. So here's how it goes. All of the hobbits are still Hufflepuff, except for Bilbo, who's probably a Slytherin. Sure, they have Gryffindor. I think everyone in the Fellowship has Gryffindor tendencies in them. I think just by the nature of what they're doing and the journey that they're on, they have to have Gryffindor, in them in order to go on this journey. Doesn't mean that their core being is Gryffindor. I think the core being of all of the hobbits is a Hufflepuff. All right, moving on. Now that that's definitively settled. Gimli is definitely a Gryffindor. He has like mad Gryffindor energy. Going into Fangorn Forest and is like, I'm going to chop down all of these trees. And then Gandalf shows up and is like, do not do that. These trees are alive, you idiot. Also, he wants to fight anyone who even mentions the name Galadriel. Mad Gryffindor energy. Legolas is a Ravenclaw, only because I don't really have any definitive reason for why that is. It's only because I think all of the elves are Ravenclaws. So that is the only one that I feel like I would be open to hearing. Oh yeah, he's Hufflepuff, he's Slytherin, he's whatever. Aragorn, obviously a Gryffindor. Gandalf, Slytherin. Once again, kind of because in my head, all of the wizards are Slytherins. And then this one might be controversial too. Boromir is a Gryffindor. And it's not because he's not a Slytherin, because he doesn't want the ring for the power and to rule over other people. He wants it so that he can return to his homeland and have the glory of saying, look, I came back with a way for us to win. And everyone's going to be talking years from now about like Boromir the Great. And that's why he is a Gryffindor. He is a dumb Gryffindor. He's like a Peter Pettigrew kind of a Gryffindor, with a little bit of like Cormac McLagan in there. But he is a Gryffindor, a hundo P. And that is where I stand on the Fellowship and their Hogwarts houses. Thank you to no one who asked. So, all that fun stuff being said, thank you for listening to this rambling Q&A episode of Second Breakfast. Make sure, like I said, you got to be following Tolkien About on everywhere. Do it on Instagram and Twitter at Tolkien About Pod. Join the Facebook group. All you have to do is search That's What I'm Tolkien About /community group. I know it's a long name, so just click on the link in the description, you fool of a took. If you want, and I would appreciate it very much so, you can support the podcast on Patreon at patreon.com/TolkienAboutPod. I pulled a lot of the questions from Discord. That's where you can join Discord. Just go to Patreon and become a Discordian. Did I just say the word accordion? I don't know. You can find me, as always, on Instagram at MC_TurnDownForWhat and Twitter at MCWhatsUp. You can also find me on TikTok. I can't believe I'm sharing that. I have to say, though, there are a lot of TikToks where I'm like, this would be a great Lord of the Rings one, but they don't get a lot of likes. Actually, none of my TikToks get a lot of likes. There's one that blew up, and I'm really mad about that because it's not even like an original take on anything. It was just me doing a dub to another sound. So that's frustrating and annoying. But anywho, the cover art is by Graphite. You can support him on Instagram at graphite.vmb. Thank you so much for listening. Enjoy the rest of your day, whatever you are doing, and stay safe out there. As always, wash your hands 6 feet apart. Stay home. There is an end to this. Hang in there. I'm with you. And if you're having a rough time, I don't know. Send me a DM or something on Twitter or Instagram, and I'll send you a dumb meme. How about that? If you're having a rough time, shoot me a DM somewhere, and I'll send you a meme and hopefully lift your spirits. And I'm excited for Tuesday, which is when we will all begin the journey of Return of the King. It's wild to me that that's about to start when I haven't even hit like the 1 year mark for this podcast yet. It's Return of the King. It's time to go to battle. So I will end this with this sincere note. And that's what I'm talking about.